Once upon a time, in a kingdom far away, there lived a kind-hearted girl named Ella. After her mother passed away, her father remarried a woman with 2 daughters of her own, Anastasia and Drizella. Ella's stepfamily was cruel and treated her like a servant in her own home. Despite her hardships, Ella remained gentle and hopeful, finding solace in her friendships with the animals that roamed the woods near her home. She would often spend her days singing and talking to the birds and mice, who became her loyal companions. One day, an invitation arrived at their doorstep. The kingdom was hosting a grand ball in honor of the prince's birthday, and every maiden in the land was invited. Ella's stepmother and stepsisters were thrilled at the prospect of attending, but they made it clear that Ella was to stay home and tend to her chores. As the day of the ball approached, Ella's heart grew heavy with longing. She dreamed of dancing under the starlit sky and meeting the prince, but she knew it was only a fantasy. However, her fairy godmother, who had been watching over her all along, appeared before her. With a wave of her wand, the fairy godmother transformed Ella's tattered dress into a magnificent gown, her rags into glass slippers, and a pumpkin into a dazzling carriage. But there was one condition: Ella must leave the ball before midnight, for when the clock struck 12, the magic would fade. Ella arrived at the ball, her beauty shining brighter than the stars. As she danced with the prince, she felt like she was floating on air, and for a moment, all her worries melted away. The prince was captivated by her grace and charm, and they danced the night away until the clock began to chime. In her haste to leave, Ella's glass slipper slipped off her foot, but she had no time to retrieve it. She fled from the palace, her heart racing with exhilaration and fear. The prince searched the kingdom far and wide, determined to find the mysterious maiden who had stolen his heart. Finally, the prince arrived at Ella's humble home, where her stepsisters were trying in vain to squeeze their feet into the glass slipper. When Ella presented herself, her true identity revealed, the slipper fit perfectly, and the prince knew he had found his true love. And so, Ella's days of hardship came to an end as she married the prince and became the beloved princess of the kingdom. With her kindness and compassion, she brought joy and harmony to all who knew her, proving that true love and goodness will always prevail in the end. Once upon a time, in a kingdom surrounded by lush forests and shimmering lakes, there lived a beautiful princess named Aurora. From the moment she was born, the kingdom rejoiced, for fairies blessed her with gifts of beauty, grace, and kindness. But one wicked fairy, who had not been invited to the celebration, placed a curse upon Aurora. On her 16th birthday, she would prick her finger on a spindle and fall into a deep sleep, from which she could only be awakened by true love's kiss. Determined to protect their beloved daughter, the king and queen banished all spindles from the kingdom and placed Aurora under the watchful care of 3 good fairies. They raised her in a secluded cottage deep in the woods, where Aurora grew into a kind and gentle young woman, unaware of the curse that loomed over her. On her 16th birthday, Aurora wandered into the forbidden tower hidden within the forest. There, she discovered an old spinning wheel and, curious, reached out to touch it. In an instant, the curse was fulfilled, and Aurora fell into a deep slumber. Heartbroken, the fairies placed Aurora on a bed of flowers and cast a protective spell over the kingdom, ensuring that all within its borders would sleep alongside the princess until the curse was broken. Years passed, and a brave prince heard of the sleeping kingdom and its beautiful princess. Determined to break the curse and awaken Aurora, he journeyed through the enchanted forest until he reached the castle's gates. As he entered the castle, he was met with the sight of sleeping guards, servants, and courtiers. Undeterred, he made his way to the tower where Aurora lay, her beauty untouched by time. Gently, the prince leaned down and kissed Aurora's lips, pouring all his love and hope into the gesture. And in that moment, Aurora stirred from her slumber, her eyes fluttering open as she gazed upon her true love. With the curse broken, the kingdom awoke from its enchanted sleep, and joyous celebrations echoed throughout the land. Aurora and the prince were married in a grand ceremony, and their love brought peace and happiness to the kingdom for generations to come. And so, the tale of Sleeping Beauty became a legend, a testament to the power of love, courage, and the belief that even the darkest curses can be overcome with true love's kiss. In the depths of the ocean, where sunlight barely reached and corals gleamed like jewels, there lived a young mermaid named Marina. She was the youngest of King Triton's daughters, with hair as golden as the sun and a voice that enchanted all who heard it. But Marina longed for more than the ocean depths could offer. She yearned to explore the world above, to feel the warmth of the sun on her skin and the cool breeze in her hair. And so, on her 16th birthday, Marina rose to the surface, her heart brimming with curiosity and excitement. As she gazed upon the world above, Marina spotted a majestic ship sailing across the horizon, its sails billowing in the wind. Mesmerized by its beauty, she swam closer, and aware of the storm brewing on the horizon. But as the storm descended upon the ship, Marina spotted a lone figure struggling in the churning waters, a handsome prince with eyes as blue as the ocean itself. Without hesitation, she swam to his side, guiding him to safety and singing a haunting melody to soothe his troubled soul. When the storm passed and the prince awoke, he found himself on the shore, his savior nowhere to be found. But Marina's voice lingered in his heart, haunting him like a distant dream. Determined to find the mysterious maiden who had saved him, the prince searched the shores far and wide, his heart yearning for the enchanting voice that had captured his soul. And when he finally laid eyes on Marina, he knew that she was the one he had been searching for. But their love was forbidden, for Marina was a mermaid, and the prince belonged to the world above. Desperate to be with her beloved, Marina made a bargain with the sea witch, trading her voice for a chance to walk on land and win the prince's heart. Transformed into a human, Marina stepped onto the shore, her heart filled with hope and longing. But without her voice, she could not express her love to the prince, and he remained unaware of her sacrifice. Yet, as they danced beneath the moonlit sky, Marina's love shone brighter than any words could convey, and the prince realized that true love transcended barriers of land and sea. With a kiss, he broke the sea witch's spell, restoring Marina's voice and sealing their love for all eternity. And so, Marina and the prince were married in a grand ceremony, their union a symbol of love's enduring power and the magic that binds the hearts of all who believe in its wonders. In a kingdom nestled amidst rolling hills and shimmering lakes, there lived a princess of unparalleled beauty and grace. Yet, despite her radiant charm, the princess remained aloof and distant, her heart as elusive as the moon's reflection on a glassy lake. In the center of the kingdom stood a towering glass hill, said to hold the key to unlocking the princess's heart. Many brave suitors had attempted to climb its steep slopes, drawn by the promise of winning her hand in marriage, but none had succeeded. One day, a humble farmer named Lars heard of the princess's challenge and felt a stirring in his soul. Though he had no royal blood or noble lineage, Lars possessed a spirit as unyielding as the mountains themselves and a determination that knew no bounds. Armed with nothing but a sturdy pair of boots and a heart full of courage, Lars set out to conquer the glass hill and claim his destiny. As he neared the summit, Lars encountered a host of magical creatures, gnomes and fairies, trolls and sprites, all determined to thwart his ascent. But with quick wit and unwavering determination, Lars outsmarted them all, forging ahead toward his goal. At last, he reached the pinnacle of the glass hill, where the princess awaited him, her eyes sparkling with admiration and wonder. Moved by Lars's bravery and humility, she welcomed him with open arms, recognizing in him the true essence of nobility. And so, Lars and the princess were wed amidst a grand celebration, their union symbolizing the triumph of love over adversity and the power of perseverance in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. From that day forth, Lars and the princess ruled the kingdom with wisdom and compassion, their love a beacon of hope and inspiration to all who beheld it. And though the glass hill remained a formidable symbol of challenge and perseverance, it also stood as a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit and the transformative power of love. In a quaint village nestled amidst rolling hills and lush meadows, there lived a kind-hearted maiden named Belle. She was known throughout the village for her gentle nature and love for reading, often losing herself in the pages of fantastical tales. But nearby, deep within a mysterious forest, there dwelled a creature feared by all, a beast whose appearance struck terror into the hearts of those who crossed his path. Once a handsome prince, he had been cursed by an enchantress for his selfish ways, condemned to live as a beast until he could learn to love and be loved in return. One fateful day, Belle's father, Maurice, set out on a journey through the forest but became lost in a sudden snowstorm. Seeking shelter, he stumbled upon the beast's castle, where he was welcomed by its enchanted inhabitants, a teapot, a clock, and other household objects brought to life by the curse. Upon learning of her father's plight, Belle bravely ventured into the forest to find him. Deep in the woods, she discovered the beast's castle and, with courage in her heart, offered to take her father's place as the beast's prisoner. Though initially fearful of the beast's monstrous appearance, Belle soon discovered that there was more to him than met the eye. Despite his gruff exterior, the beast showed Belle kindness and gentleness, offering her the castle's vast library and inviting her to share in lavish meals together. As days turned into weeks, Belle and the beast formed a deep bond, their friendship blossoming into something more. Yet, the curse still hung over them, and the beast feared that he would never break free from its grasp. But Belle saw past the beast's fearsome exterior and into the goodness within his heart. She came to realize that true beauty lay not in appearances but in kindness, compassion, and the capacity to love. Moved by Belle's unwavering love and devotion, the beast's heart began to thaw, and he discovered the true meaning of love. And in that moment, the enchantress's curse was broken, transforming the beast back into the handsome prince he once was. With the curse lifted, the prince and Belle were married in a joyous celebration that echoed throughout the kingdom. And as they danced beneath the stars, surrounded by their friends and loved ones, they knew that their love would endure for all eternity, a beacon of hope and redemption for all who believed in the power of love. In a kingdom surrounded by towering walls of stone, there lived a young maiden named Rapunzel. She was blessed with hair as golden as the sun and eyes as green as emeralds, but her beauty was hidden away from the world. Rapunzel had been locked away in a tall tower by an enchantress since she was a babe, her only companionship the songs of the birds and the rustle of the wind through the trees. The tower had neither door nor staircase, and Rapunzel could only watch the world from her window high above. One day, a handsome prince passing through the forest heard Rapunzel's melodic voice floating through the air. Entranced by her song, he followed the sound until he came upon the tower hidden among the trees. "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair," the prince called, his voice echoing through the forest. Rapunzel peered out from her window, her heart racing with excitement. With a smile, she unfurled her long, golden locks and lowered them down to the prince below. With great care, the prince climbed up the tower, his eyes widening in wonder at the sight of Rapunzel's beauty. From that day forth, the prince visited Rapunzel every night, bringing her stories of the world beyond the tower's walls and promising to one day set her free. But their happiness was short-lived, for the enchantress who had imprisoned Rapunzel discovered their secret meetings. Enraged by their defiance, she cast a spell that banished the prince from the kingdom and sent Rapunzel far away to a distant land. Heartbroken and alone, Rapunzel wandered through the wilderness, her tears falling like rain upon the earth. But as she journeyed, she discovered the strength and courage within herself, and she vowed to reclaim her freedom and find her beloved prince once more. Years passed, and Rapunzel's golden hair grew even longer, reaching down to the forest floor like a shimmering cascade of sunlight. And one day, as she stood atop a high cliff overlooking the sea, she spotted a ship sailing in the distance, its sails billowing in the wind. With renewed hope in her heart, Rapunzel called out to the sailors, her voice carrying across the waves like a beacon of light. And as the ship drew nearer, she saw a familiar figure standing at the prow of the prince, his eyes shining with love and longing. With a leap of faith, Rapunzel dove into the sea, her golden hair trailing behind her like a banner of freedom. And as she swam towards the ship, the prince reached out his hand, pulling her aboard and into his loving embrace. Together, they sailed across the endless sea, their hearts united in love and determination. And though they faced many trials and tribulations on their journey, Rapunzel and the prince never wavered in their quest for happiness and freedom, proving that true love knows no bounds and that even the tallest towers cannot imprison the spirit forever. Once upon a time, in a kingdom nestled among snow-capped mountains, there lived a beautiful princess named Snow White. She had skin as fair as snow, lips as red as roses, and hair as dark as ebony. But her stepmother, the queen, was consumed by jealousy over Snow White's beauty. Fearing that Snow White's beauty would surpass her own, the queen ordered her huntsman to take Snow White deep into the forest and dispose of her. However, unable to carry out such a wicked deed, the huntsman spared Snow White's life and urged her to flee into the woods. Lost and alone, Snow White wandered through the enchanted forest until she stumbled upon a small cottage hidden among the trees. Inside, she found 7 tiny beds, each with its own set of belongings. Realizing that the cottage belonged to 7 dwarfs, Snow White decided to clean and tidy up the place while she waited for their return. When the dwarfs returned home, they were surprised to find Snow White asleep in one of their beds. Moved by her kindness, they welcomed her into their home with open arms. Snow White soon became like a sister to the dwarfs, and they promised to protect her from the queen's wrath. Meanwhile, back at the palace, the queen consulted her magic mirror daily, seeking reassurance that she was still the fairest in the land. But each time, the mirror replied that Snow White was the fairest of them all, sending the queen into a rage. Determined to rid herself of Snow White once and for all, the queen disguised herself as an old peddler woman and offered Snow White a poisoned apple. Despite the dwarf's warnings, Snow White took a bite of the apple and fell into a deep slumber. Heartbroken, the dwarfs placed Snow White in a glass coffin and mourned her untimely fate. But as time passed, a prince from a neighboring kingdom heard of Snow White's beauty and came to pay his respects. Upon seeing her lying in the coffin, the prince was captivated by her beauty and leaned down to kiss her. The power of true love's kiss broke the queen's curse, and Snow White awoke from her slumber. Overjoyed to be reunited with the prince, Snow White returned to his kingdom, where they were married in a grand ceremony. As for the queen, her jealousy and wickedness consumed her, and she met her own tragic end. But Snow White and her prince ruled the kingdom with kindness and compassion, and their love endured for all eternity, a testament to the enduring power of true love and goodness. In a kingdom where the sun painted the sky with hues of gold and the forests whispered ancient secrets, there resided a young princess named Alara. Her beauty was renowned far and wide, yet she possessed a kind and gentle heart that endeared her to all who knew her. One day, as Alara wandered through the palace gardens, she stumbled upon a hidden chamber tucked away in the depths of the castle. Within this chamber lay a magnificent mirror, its frame adorned with shimmering jewels and its surface polished to perfection. Intrigued by the mirror's beauty, Alara approached and gazed into its depths. To her astonishment, the mirror began to shimmer and glow, revealing visions of distant lands and unseen wonders. But as Alara continued to peer into the mirror, she discovered its true power, a power that could grant her every wish and desire. With a mere whisper, she could command the mirror to show her the future, to reveal hidden truths, and to fulfill her deepest longings. At first, Alara was enchanted by the mirror's magic, using its powers to explore the world beyond the palace walls and to glimpse the wonders that lay ahead. But as time passed, she became consumed by its allure, losing herself in a world of illusions and fantasies. Unbeknownst to Alara, the mirror was not merely a tool of enchantment but a sinister force that fed on her desires and dreams, twisting them into shadows and lies. With each passing day, its influence grew stronger, threatening to consume Alara's soul and plunge the kingdom into darkness. Fearing for his daughter's well-being, the king sought the guidance of a wise old sage, who warned him of the mirror's true nature. He urged the king to break the mirror's spell before it was too late, lest Alara be lost to its enchantment forever. With a heavy heart, the king confronted Alara and begged her to forsake the mirror's magic before it consumed her completely. At first, Alara resisted, unable to tear herself away from the allure of the mirror's power. But as she looked into her father's eyes, filled with love and concern, Alara realized the truth: the mirror's magic was but an illusion, a fleeting shadow that paled in comparison to the warmth of human connection and the beauty of the world around her. With a determined spirit, Alara turned away from the mirror, shattering its spell with a single act of courage. As the mirror's enchantment faded, the kingdom bathed in the light of a new dawn, free from the darkness that had threatened to consume it. From that day forth, Alara vowed to cherish the world around her, finding joy and fulfillment not in the false promises of magic but in the simple pleasures of love, friendship, and the beauty of the natural world. And though the mirror's allure had faded, its lessons remained a reminder that true happiness could never be found in illusions but in the genuine connections forged between hearts and souls. Once upon a time, in a kingdom shrouded in the mists of legend, there lived a princess named Anya, with hair as dark as midnight and eyes as bright as the stars. Anya was the jewel of her father's kingdom, beloved by all who knew her. Yet, despite the adoration of her subjects, Anya longed for adventure beyond the confines of the castle walls. She yearned to explore the vast wilderness that lay beyond the kingdom, to discover the secrets hidden within the ancient forests and towering mountains. One day, as Anya wandered through the palace gardens, she heard a soft rustling in the bushes nearby. Curious, she approached the source of the sound and was astonished to find a magnificent firebird nestled among the leaves, its feathers ablaze with hues of crimson and gold. Enchanted by the bird's beauty, Anya reached out to touch its shimmering plumage. But as her fingers brushed against its feathers, the firebird let out a piercing cry and took flight, disappearing into the sky with a flash of flame. Determined to capture the elusive creature, Anya set out on a quest to find the firebird and unravel the mystery of its existence. Along the way, she encountered many challenges and obstacles, from treacherous forests teeming with mythical beasts to towering mountains that reached up to touch the heavens. Yet, despite the dangers that lurked around every corner, Anya pressed on, her heart filled with determination and courage. For she knew that only by capturing the firebird could she fulfill her destiny and uncover the truth behind its magical powers. After many trials and tribulations, Anya finally reached the heart of the enchanted forest, where the firebird was said to dwell. There, amid the towering trees and winding paths, she found the bird perched upon a branch, its eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light. With trembling hands, Anya reached out to capture the firebird, but before she could do so, a voice rang out from the shadows. "Stop!" cried a figure emerging from the darkness. "Do not harm the firebird, for it holds the key to unlocking the secrets of the universe." Anya turned to face the newcomer and was astonished to find herself standing before the legendary sorcerer, Ivan. With his ancient wisdom and magical powers, Ivan had been searching for the firebird for centuries, seeking to harness its energy for the greater good. Realizing the folly of her quest, Anya bowed before Ivan and begged for his forgiveness. Moved by her humility and sincerity, Ivan took pity on the young princess and offered her a choice to return home to her kingdom or to join him on his quest to unlock the mysteries of the firebird. Without hesitation, Anya chose to accompany Ivan on his journey, eager to explore the wonders of the world alongside the legendary sorcerer. And though their adventures were fraught with danger and uncertainty, Anya knew that as long as she had Ivan by her side, she would never be alone. And so, together they set out into the unknown, their hearts filled with hope and wonder, as they embarked on a quest that would change the course of history forever. In a kingdom where the moon cast its silver glow over rolling hills and tranquil lakes, there lived a wise and compassionate king who sought a true princess for his son, the prince. Many maidens came to the palace, claiming to be princesses, but none seemed to possess the qualities of a genuine royal. One stormy night, a young woman arrived at the palace, her clothes drenched and her demeanor humble. She claimed to be a princess, seeking refuge from the raging tempest. The king, intrigued by her sincerity, welcomed her into the palace and offered her shelter for the night. To test the young woman's claim, the queen devised a clever plan. She ordered the servants to prepare a bed for the princess that was fit for royalty, but hidden beneath 20 soft mattresses and 20 feather beds, she placed a single pea. The next morning, the queen eagerly inquired about the princess's night's rest. To her surprise, the young woman complained of discomfort, claiming that she had been unable to sleep a wink due to a mysterious lump in her bed. The king and queen exchanged knowing glances, for they knew that only a true princess could possess such sensitivity. Convinced of her authenticity, they welcomed her into the royal family with open arms. As the young woman settled into her new life at the palace, her kindness and humility endeared her to the prince and his family. Together, they ruled the kingdom with wisdom and compassion, bringing prosperity and joy to all who dwelled within its borders. And so, the kingdom flourished under the reign of the true princess, her genuine nature shining like a beacon of light in a world filled with falsehoods and pretense. Her story became legend, inspiring generations to come to seek truth and authenticity in all their endeavors.